The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome back to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. Back and with me as usual is AJ Applegarth. Welcome back from Hawaii. What's up, man?
Not much, man. It was a nice little break. If you haven't been to Hawaii, I would say to get out there at some point.
It's on my short list of things to do, but 2 kids,
yeah,
pretty tough to get out there. You're pretty lucky you got out there.
Yeah, 2 kids will make it very expensive to get out there if you decide to bring them with you. So,
no, I will not. Not right now, at least.
Yeah. So, but no, thankfully I got the ride along for my brother's business trip, like an awards conference that they do every year, and this was their destination, so it was pretty badass.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, like I said, definitely looking to go, but I don't know when it's going to happen at this point. Anyway, a lot has been going on in baseball, and before we get into that, though, man, I got to rant a little bit, dude. So my car freaking basically died on me this past week, to the point where it's a 6.5-year-old car. It needed $6,000 worth of repairs, and I basically said F that and decided I had to go buy a new car without any leverage, because I basically could not drive the car off the lot. The dealer didn't know that, but usually my trick is I walk in, I get a couple prices from a couple different dealers, and then I walk out from each one of them, and then they all call me back with like much better deals, and I get like awesome car deals. Oh, I couldn't do that because I couldn't go home. Like, my car was in bad enough shape where I didn't feel comfortable driving with my kids in it. So this was like, damn it. I ended up getting a pretty decent deal, but all I gotta say, man, is that the car buying experience is so freaking miserable. Car dealerships and salespeople and the finance people are the worst. Like, they move so slow, and it's almost like they keep you there longer. Like, we're just gonna wear this guy down until he signs whatever we put in front of him, and it works. Like, it works. Like, I give up.
Yeah.
Like, I just here, I'll sign it. I just want to go home. I mean, I was in the dealership, ended up buying a Jeep, which you helped to recommend, because you've been driving Jeeps forever.
Yep.
Great car. I love it, but it was just like, I was in the dealership from 2:30 until almost 8:30 at night. I was in the dealership for 6 hours.
That sounds about right.
Just want to go home. And
sounds a little short, actually.
I test drove one car. I looked at 3 others, but I test drove one car. But it was a matter of just like trying to find the right one that had all the stuff that I needed and didn't need in it at the right price. And then going back and forth with the finance guy that, I love this line. Whoa, I can't give you a better deal. We're actually losing money on this car. What?
Yeah. It's no, you're not.
You can't possibly be losing money on the car. You wouldn't sell it to me if you were losing money on the car.
Yeah.
And like, I laughed because my sales guy, he was the coolest sales guy I've ever had. He'd only been there 3 weeks, and he's like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like, I don't really care. You can walk out of here with a car or not, and I honestly don't really care. He was truly honest with me. He was like the one and only sales guy that ever knew what he was talking about with the car. He's like, yeah, I fix my own cars. And I was like, okay, cool. So he like actually knew what he was talking about. But I told him, I said to him, I'm like, I don't understand that line. He goes, between you and me, that doesn't make any sense to me either. I was like, Alrighty. I love the honesty. Most guys would have been like, well, I mean, it's, $6,000 on the MSRP. This is like, that price is totally fabricated to make you feel like you're getting a good deal. It's such BS. Ugh. And then, of course, you get into the actual finance guy's office where you have to sign all the paperwork. And he's like, do you want to buy the warranty for this and that and this and that? And I
Yeah.
was like, no. And he goes, well, I'll give you a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for this. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good with whatever you give me normally. And he goes, you sure? That is a really nice car. And I'm like, I'm aware of that, but I'm good. And he goes, what if I upped it to 10 years, 100,000 miles? And I went, I'll never make it 10 years. What are you talking about? That does nothing for me.
Yeah.
If you want to make it 150,000 miles, we got a deal. Because hell yeah, I'll pay an extra $2,000 on the car to get a warranty for 150,000 miles. But you'll never give me that because you will lose money on that. So, but he kind of looked at me. He's like, all right. And then he like turned the paper away and was like, just sign it. So I think I finally got them on something. It was just, it's such a shady business, man. I hate it. It's so stressful. But anyway, man, let's get to something a little more fun here. Fantasy baseball. Before we get to that, let's get to our beer of the week. I'm going to let you start since you got a little Hawaii flavor with yours.
Yes. So, obviously there's a ton of stuff to do in Hawaii, but being me, I have to drink all the beers that I can while I'm in a new place. And Kona Brewing Company is like their main brewery out there. And I had pretty much everything available to me. But the one that I'm highlighting here, I'm actually not drinking it right now. I wish I still were, but it's the Kua Bay IPA, and it's a 7.3% ABV. The website has it listed as bright, bold, copper-colored India Pale Ale, piney hops, spices, and a subtle caramel maltiness make it a delicious beer that's both full-bodied and flavorful. And I couldn't agree more. This is one of their seasonal beers, so they typically only have this May to August. But when I flew out, we stopped in Honolulu. We were actually staying on the Big Island, but we flew from Dallas to Honolulu first, and then had a long layover there before we went to the Big Island. So we stopped and got lunch, and the guy's like, "Hey, here's our seasonal that we have. Try this if you like IPAs. This is one of the best ones we have," and it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, if anybody's had the Kona, I mean, their main beers are, the Fire Rock Pale Ale is very good. I had that. The Hanalei Island IPA, had a bunch of those. That one is very good. That's more of a session IPA, lower ABV. And then Longboard Island Lager and the Big Wave Golden Ale. Those were like the main ones that were served where we were at. So all very good beers. And I'm going to have to try to track some of them down here on the mainland if I can.
Yeah, no, I know they have them. I've seen them in the Safeway I get my beer from most often around here. So I do know that they have them. I just have never actually picked one up for whatever reason. I don't know why. They don't get great ratings on Untappd. That's why I think I don't do it. And there's always like other better stuff that I feel like I want to try. But if it's eventually I'm just gonna break down because I like to try new stuff, and that'll be the only new thing on the wall for me to try. So anyway, I have a New Belgium Brut IPA, and this. If you're not familiar with Brut IPAs, they are very dry, almost like a, I know Miller High Life is the champagne of beers, but Brut IPA really is like the champagne of IPAs, if you want to call it that, because it is kind of dry and crisp, and that kind of flavor. I don't typically like Brut IPAs, but this one's not bad. They added enough to it that it doesn't have that like just bleh taste to it that I just don't like for other ones. Like this one's actually decent to try. It's not my favorite. I still only gave it a 3.25 on Untapped, but that's much better than the other Brut IPAs that I've tried. Believe me. 6.7 percent. So, not super crazy, but not weak either. It's all right. Like I said, I wouldn't really buy it again if I had choices. But if if it was sitting there, it's not it's not something I would like avoid. But anyway. All right, man.
Cool. Yeah, I gotta try some of those. I said I gotta have to try some of those brewed IPAs. I haven't.
They're not
gone
great,
down
man.
that
Like
road yet.
they're not great, but who knows? It could just be my taste palette. I may just not like them. No big deal. But anyway, man. We need to talk about
Real quick, just saw a little thing on the ESPN ticker that the bars have released the video of Robert Kraft at the spa, or somebody released it. I don't know if it was the spa that released it or whatever. I caught it as I looked up.
Right?
So it's being released temporarily.
Oh
What's
my
that?
gosh, I don't even want to see that, but I'm sure that's TMZ, right?
Oh no, I don't want to see it. I just think it. Yeah, probably.
I mean,
It's got to be. They are the ones that have all the
everything.
dirt. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Gross.
Sorry.
Anyway, on to more interesting topics. So we need to talk about some ace pitchers not being so ace-like. And, we've talked about a lot of offense this year so far, being really strong this year so far to start the season. And last week, you weren't here, but we focused on Chris Sale just really struggling with his decreased velocity. And he's been miserable this year. Now, his velocity was up this past start, thankfully, but he still got knocked around, 4 runs in 5 innings or whatever it was. Wasn't great. The silver lining is that his ERA actually went down, which is sad. But the bigger thing to take out of it is that his velocity finally ticked up above like 90, I think 7 again. So like hopefully that's a sign of things to come for him. I mean, what do you think that? What do you think about Chris Sale and his start? And are you at all not are you at all not as worried, I guess is the right, I'm totally not thinking of the right word.
Concerned.
No, not concerned is the word I'm trying to say. I just can't think of it right now. But anyway, are you at all, thinking that he can bounce back now that he has gotten the velocity? He's shown he can throw in the 97s again. Is that giving you any hope? Is I guess what I meant to say. Or are you still just like, man, he's been really bad, and I'm not sure about him this year. Like, it seems like something's wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely worried about it. The velocity drop is always the first indicator, I feel like, that gets thrown out about these guys when they have, a down start. Or
shoulder injuries.
Something's wrong. Yeah, shoulder. I mean, that alone just is always an issue. I mean, the shoulder and Tommy John, and it's like, okay, what are we gonna get from this guy? So, yeah, I'm definitely worried. I don't know if I'm necessarily trying to sell him yet, but I mean, another bad start. And I might be trying to.
Yeah, it just sucks because, and we won't go too much into Chris Sale, but it just sucks because if you do sell him right now, you're obviously getting nothing near his real value.
Yeah.
not at least what you think his real value should have been before week 1, right? I mean, he was going as a number 2 pitcher, number 3 pitcher or worse in most leagues, sometimes first round, sometimes very early second round. I mean, that's where he was going, and it sucks. But, we have tons of other, ace-like pitchers just not performing. And I pulled up some stats before the show, and I shared them with you, collected them together, highlighted them all. And I did ERA and WHIP, and I know the ERA and WHIP is just 2 categories, right? And they're very kind of like not sabermetric, and I get it, but this was the easiest stat to pull in the 10 minutes I had to research all of this morning at work. But just looking at ERA and WHIP, out of the top 12 pitchers drafted, which were all within the first 4 rounds of fantasy drafts by ADP, there are 6 pitchers of the top 12 that have an ERA above 4. In fact, none of them have an ERA below 5.6. And if you go past that one, which is Noah Syndergaard, you're looking at nobody below 6. So it's bad. Then there are 6 pitchers, mostly the same people, the same guys, have an ERA higher than 1.2. And a bunch of them are almost all of them, except for one, have a WHIP above 1.5. In fact, one of them has a WHIP above 2.5. And let's just talk about this guy next, Carlos Carrasco. Now, this did not take into account tonight's game, where he absolutely dominated the Seattle Mariners, the red-hot Seattle Mariners. 7 shutout innings, 12 strikeouts, like 3 hits, 2 walks. So clearly these stats are thrown out the window at this point. But he was having an absolutely miserable start to the season. He had an ERA about 12. He had a WHIP at 2.5. His strikeouts were still there, 17 and 10 innings, so like that was good. I mean, look, I still rolled with him in Fantasy Six Pack tonight because why the hell not? It's week 3, man. I'm not going away from this guy, but it's hard to talk about him now in a negative sense because he just had this filthy start tonight. But we've seen it with Carrasco at times too, though, where he just goes through these times where he's just not a very good pitcher, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, is he somebody that you might be looking to be like, hey, look, Carrasco's back, shiny, look, shiny over here, take him, and just get rid of him while the going's good? Or are you thinking,
yeah,
all right, no, here's Carrasco?
I honestly had that exact thought because I own him in my weekly league, and I benched him this week after last week's debacle again. 2 out of 3 games, he's been bad. Mm-hmm. So, he's just not helping my team, but I've still managed to stay in first place, thankfully. So, I was literally looking at this game thinking, please let him just throw a great game and pretend like he's back, because he was the 3rd pitcher I took. I already had Scherzer. I got Cole, and then I took him, and he was my 4th pick, I believe, after taking Goldie 2nd, and then Cole and him. And I just went into that league knowing I really want a strong staff because it's a weekly league, and I didn't want to have to mess with streaming 2 starters all damn season long and whatever. But he's been such a disappointment. Now I'm like, I want offense. So, yeah, I think, it could come back to burn me if I do decide to try to launch him, but I still don't think you're going to get a ton of value for him just yet. Like, I think he might need another 1 or 2 good starts.
I don't know about that.
And at that point, I'd probably just keep him.
I think people would probably jump all over him if you were trying to get rid of him. I don't know what you could get back. I mean, I don't think you'll get I don't think you would get I don't even think you would get his teammate back, Trevor Bauer, right? But I think you could get back maybe a pitcher in the tier below him and then maybe another solid hitter in return, which might be worth it. But, Carrasco, as much as I say, like, he's had these times where he's just, like, in a funk, he's also been injury prone here and there. So there is red flags with him, but he still has also shown times where he just does this consistently does this, and he's just unhittable. So I don't know. It's a tough one, man. Like, I don't think I might dangle him, but I wouldn't be like itching to get rid of him. Like, it would really have to be the right value. I'm not just gonna take the best offer. I would make sure it's the right value for him.
Yeah.
But
maybe I'll just edit my trading block and throw him on there.
I mean, see
put
what
a note out
people
there
do.
and combine it and say, hey, I'm throwing the following people out on the block, just trying to switch things up. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Let's see if anybody bites.
Well, let's. You mentioned another guy already that he hasn't had a bad start to the year, but it's not the start to the year that you expect from this guy, and that's Max Scherzer. He's had a couple really nasty starts, and he's had a couple, that's fine. It didn't kill me. His ERA's still at 3.3, whip's still at 1, strikeouts are all there. Like, I'm not really worried about him. I don't think he's going to become like a bad pitcher all of a sudden, but, I mean, this guy was going sometimes pick number 3, 4 in leagues. After Lindor went down, like, this is who people were taking. And his ADP ended up this was Fantrax ADP. His ADP in Fantrax was 7 overall. Now that's the whole draft season. So toward the end, that probably started going up because people really started just going all in on pitching. Look, I'm not at all advocating getting rid of Max Scherzer, but this proves my point that, like, I was all about trying to go get 2 of these top guys, mainly because if one of them did not work out, you at least had a fallback where at least you had another ace guy that could give you 200 innings, and 200 strikeouts, right? And that's just I felt like that's what you needed this year to compete. And if you happen to get 2 of them that got you that, then oh my God, you could potentially dominate. But it's why I wasn't going after a pitcher in the first round in almost any of my leagues. Now, I did do it. I will kind of backtrack a little bit and say I did do it with DeGrom, who is also kind of having an up and down start to the year, kind of similar to Scherzer, who I'm also not really concerned about. But, we'll see what happens. We've seen this before with DeGrom where he has a couple down starts, there ends up being an injury, he tries to pitch through it because the Mets are stupid and they don't have a training staff that knows what they're doing, and he ends up going on the IL for the rest of the year. It's happened before. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again. But I did take DeGrom with my first pick in TGFBI. That was a different story because it's a 14-man league. So, like, if I didn't take a pitcher first, I could have waited and come back around and gotten Corey Kluber, who's also having a typical Corey Kluber April. But I don't know, man. Like, let's lump Max and DeGrom together because their stats are so freaking similar at this point. I mean, are you?
Yeah.
Are we just thinking like they're just kind of having a slow start, no big deal, right? I mean, like, this is nothing really to worry about at this point.
No, I'm not concerned with either of those 2 guys. Like I said, I already own Max in 1 league, and I would have been happy taking DeGrom, at the end of the late first, depending on the league size, or early second, if he fell there to me. They're doing okay. The ERAs are what worries me a little bit, just because of how high they are compared to how well those guys always pitch. They're going to come back and they're going to get them down. They should hopefully be able to get them back down under 3. But at the same time, you look at that division, that's a strong division too. The Phillies obviously upgraded everywhere. They already had some good young depth, but now they've got Harper, Kutch, Segura, Real Muto, who was already in the division anyways. So that's not, as similar, but they're a better team. Washington's still a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets got better.
Yeah.
Miami is really the only team that's not overly scary to face offensively.
Right.
And even Atlanta. I mean, they were great last year. They bring back pretty much the exact same core this year. So
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the ERAs did stay above 3, just for that fact. But they're still going to get the Ks. They're going to get the innings. They should be able to hopefully keep the walks down, and still be able to manage getting the wins. Hopefully, the quality starts, I feel like, are going to be there regardless, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't want to go through each guy one by one here, but just to kind of list a couple more of the guys that we had highlighted here, and I joke, I always say Corey Kluber's having a typical Corey Kluber April, right? But he's having another Corey Kluber April. 6.61 ERA, 8.14 WHIP. Just I don't know, whatever it is with him in Aprils, he does not like them. Aaron Nola's having a bad start to the year. We mentioned Carrasco. Walker Buehler's having a bad start to the year. And then, if you want to go one step below, obviously we got Clevenger on the DL or IL, whatever you want to call it. He was having a monster start to the year, though, so that's not really truly fair. But, Strasburg, Jack Flaherty, Greinke, James Italian, all these guys, just meh. Dude, what the hell's happening? But if we leave it to those top 12, Scherzer, Grom, Sale, Kluber, Nola, Carrasco, Buehler. So those 6 out of the 12, because that's 7 out of 12. So out of those 7, who's the one pitcher you are the most worried about? Or are you not worried about any of them? You think they'll all be fine?
I feel like they should all be fine. I mean, Clevenger, you gotta kind of nix him out because he's done for the first half of the season anyways.
Well, he wasn't part of the top 12 guy. I was talking about the top 12 guys that I had highlighted there.
I'm sorry.
Those top guys. So who's
the one out of 12?
Who's the one guy out of that top group that you are the most worried about, or are you not worried about any of them?
Honestly, I feel like maybe Walker Buehler. He had a really good year last year when they finally brought him in to pitch, and now he's had a whole off season. He's coming into that sophomore slump, that is out there, but I don't know if it's really the same for pitchers as it is batters. But I feel like people have had more time to review his tapes now and kind of figure him out a little bit. But at the same time, that Dodgers offense is still good. They're not necessarily clicking as well as they could. So I'm not overly concerned about any of those guys, but he's the one that kind of stands out, and he's right at the end there anyways. But
yeah, that would be my number 2.
Or possibly Carrasco. I mean, his injuries you mentioned earlier, if something weird crops up with him, he'll probably try to play through it and then do himself, in worse than he needed to.
Yeah.
Is there any of them that you're really worried about?
So Buehler would be my number 2, although I still have some high hopes with him. My number 1, and I kind of said it before the season started, so I'm sticking to it, is Aaron Nola. I thought he overachieved last year. I thought there was going to be regression with him. I don't think he's going to have a 7.45 ERA at the end of the year, but I wasn't really. I didn't like where he was going in drafts. I thought he was being severely overdrafted. I thought he should have been closer to the end of this tier than the middle of it, which is where he ended up getting drafted. And so I have no shares of him anywhere. But I just something just when you looked at the metrics for him, it just screamed down season for him. Like he was gonna have massive regression in ERA and WHIP, and we're seeing it early on. And again, it will normalize a little bit. He'll go on a little run where he's going to be absolutely top notch, and the ERA will come down. But I don't think we're going to get anything near what we got last year with him. And I wouldn't be surprised if his ERA finishes in the high threes with a WHIP of like 1.15. Oh, sorry, a WHIP of like 1.5. I mean, like maybe a WHIP of like 1.3, and
Yeah,
that's not gonna be worth an ADP of 25. I mean, he was going end of the second round, beginning third round in a lot of leagues, so that's gonna be a hurtful pick for a lot of people. He's not gonna be totally worthless, but it's going to hurt teams who drafted him where they did. So that's the one guy that I'm like, man, if you can get a couple good starts at him in a row, like that'd be the one where I'd be dangling him. So
yeah, that kind of follows along my theme from earlier with the DeGrom and Scherzer. Here again, another NL East pitcher who's got the ability to play awesomely and pitch very well. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of jumping on your bandwagon a little bit here when it sucks because I'm a Phillies fan, so I hate to have to.
And you picked him for Cy Young.
What's that?
And you picked him for your Cy Young.
I did. I know. That hurts. So we'll see. I mean, I still believe, but I'm hesitant with the way that he started. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been a bad start to the year for pitching, man. It really has, and something to keep an eye on. Obviously, this has been an offensive season so far, this year, and it could just be one of those years where you're really wishing you drafted heavier hitting or something. Because that's what's going to win you the league is like you just need a home run. And what's going to happen next year is everybody's going to draft all the home run hitters again like they did last year, and then it's going to be a pitching heavy league again. And it's just like, okay, whatever. Anyway, let's move on here. We got some injuries. So start with the Red Sox and Andrew Benintendi. He's got a foot injury. He's been held out the last couple games. I just read that he is expected to be back on Friday. So that's good news, but definitely keep an eye on that. We got Rohan Odor, my favorite player. Not because he's good, but because he knocked out my least favorite player. He has knee injury, hoping he can return in late April. I don't know if I really care anymore. Odor's kind of trash when it comes to fantasy. Like, honestly, if you want to drop him and if the replacement you get for him is any good, just keep him. Like, it doesn't really matter. Good news, though. Let's see here. We got Gregory Polanco on rehab, hoping to return in about a week, maybe slightly more. So great news for owners who took a chance on him. And Joey Wendell on rehab, hopeful to return this weekend. That one's going to be interesting because obviously the Rays are on fire right now. Wendell didn't start the year too hot, and he, obviously the replacements for him are good. I think Wendell will still get slotted back in there to get a chance because it was his. You don't usually lose spots to injuries unless the guy comes up and it's just utterly amazing, and I don't think the guys that replace him have been amazing. They've been good. They've been solid. But Wendell's going to have to pick things up quickly to not lose a ton of playing time, and I'm not sure he's got the game to be able to back that up. So it could be that he falls into a bit of a platoon situation. This is me totally speculating, by the way. This is just kind of what I see happening with the Rays and Wendell. So hopefully he doesn't, because I do own him in a league, and 2 leagues, actually, TGFBI and my Dynasty League. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen that way. But I would not be one bit surprised. So you want to take the pitchers?
All right. Yeah, I'll run through these guys real quick.
Go.
All right, so my best pitcher and 18th round pick, thanks to keeper, Mr. Blake Snell, has a fractured toe, broken toe, but for whatever reason, he's only going to miss 1 start, so that's fantastic. I was hoping to have him this week, but I'll let him sit out a week as long as I can maintain. Without him, I should be good. Kyle Freeland has a blister. Currently, he's day-to-day, and he's still set to start on Friday. But as we've seen with Mr. Aaron Sanchez, blisters can be a bitch. And so we'll see what happens there. Just keep an eye on Freeland. Fastball Freddy has a shoulder injury. He's set to return in late April. We've got Mr. David Robertson. Actually, before I get to him, I'll just throw this last one in. I just saw it on the ticker. Marco Estrada is on the IL now with a lumbar strain. Doesn't seem too serious. I'm sure he's not, super heavily owned as it is anyways. He's kind of bad, but he's been lit up his last 2 outings for a total of 13 earned runs. So this maybe had something to do with it. So keep an eye on Marco if you're, for whatever reason, trying to stream him. But then, as I said, David Robertson, he's got some elbow soreness. Hopefully he's looking at an early May return. So you're looking at Hector Neris, Sir Anthony Dominguez as the committee. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. And Aroydis Vizcaíno just had shoulder surgery. He is likely done for the season, and AJ Minter is now the clear favorite to close for the Braves. That was more of a committee as it was anyways, but this is a big blow to them and to Vizcaíno. This was the same shoulder that he injured last year as well. So if you had him in any of your leagues and Minter is some reason still sitting out there, go out and grab him immediately.
Agreed. Yeah, I randomly had to flip a coin because I had like 4 guys go on the DL within like a week in our fantasy 6-pack league, and Robinson and Vizcaíno were the last 2. And Vizcaíno went first, put him in the DL, and then Robertson was right behind him, and I was like, I was just reading the tea leaves, I guess, and was like, Vizcaíno was dealing with a shoulder injury that he already had last year, and they already don't know the timetable. They didn't know the timetable of Robertson yet, but I took a chance and dropped Vizcaíno and then put Robertson in the DL so I could like not just hold a hurt player. And man, that worked out. Holy crap.
Eeny, meeny, miny, yes.
Pretty much. Like that could have just backfired big time. But yeah, anyway. On to some bullpen woes, man. It's been a rough start to the season for bullpens, dude. So I'm going to let you take this as the closer chart guru for Fantasy 6-Pack.
Yeah, I mean, I finally had to pull the trigger and cut ties with my boy Raisel Iglesias. Was looking for a lot of high hopes for him this year. I mean, he was so dominant last year for the Reds as their closer, and we talked about it in the preseason shows, the preview shows, that he was not necessarily going to be definitively a 9th inning guy. He was going to get used in the highest leverage situations, no matter when they arose. So I don't know if that's what's messing with him. I mean, we've seen it before where you get a guy like a Ryan Madsen, for instance, coming in and being a dominant setup guy, and then they put him in as a closer, and it's just not the same. These guys get into this creature of habit mode where they know when they're going in,
Right.
They know what they need to do when they get there. And I mean, back in the day for Philly, Madsen was locked down. I mean, he was so good as a setup guy. And then they eventually tried to have him work in as a closer. They had some other guys doing setup, and it just did not work as well. And then he kind of picked it up a little bit better as he switched teams, but still wasn't the same. So maybe that's what's going on with Iglesias. I mean, this bullpen is, to me, it's just a bunch of hammered wingmen right now. If you look at our closer chart, you'll know what that means. Basically, it's just our nickname for the committees. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get dropped out of higher leverage situations until he gets right. So keep an eye on Iglesias. You were the lucky, I guess, guy to go ahead and pick him up in Fantasy Six Pack. I hope he pans out for you.
I took a chance on him. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised. He sat out there all day. I didn't grab him until pretty much I got home from work, and I finally was like,
yeah,
okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. And I pulled the trigger, and I dropped Pablo Lopez, who I like, but
yeah,
I was like, I've got the pitching staff to.
That's okay though.
I've got the pitching staff to lose a guy like Pablo Lopez. So I was like, if I can get Iglesias even 85% of what he was last year, then it's worth it. And I need bullpen help. My saves and holds have been pathetic this year. I have like 4 on the entire season. I have no idea what's happening. So although it's getting better, but it's I got Neris too, and he just got a save tonight and like a hold last week or something too. So it's been getting better, but yeah, I mean, I had to take a chance on Iglesias. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll drop him next week after he gets crushed 2 more times. It's just one of those things. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on it, but yeah, it's not a good start for him for sure.
No, it hasn't been. So the next group we have here is Miami. Kind of touched on it earlier as far as them being like the lone team in the NL East that I'm not really scared of. But, I mean, they are the definition of hammered wingmen. I mean, these guys are 3 frat guys that went out to a bar and started day drinking at 10 a.m. and, have a social later tonight with Tri-Delts. I don't even know, but throwing a lot of like old college memories somehow back into the mix here. But you've got Sergio Romo,
like a typical Saturday for me in college.
You got Adam Conley. What's that?
I said you're describing a typical Saturday for me in college.
Typical Saturday. Yeah.
Minus the social and stuff, but day drink starting at 10 a.m. Why the hell not?
Yeah. So you got Romo, Conley, you got Tayron Guerrero is out there. I mean, he's not necessarily getting the mix for saves yet. I'm sure that'll come. But, the best thing about Romo and the reason I own him is strategy-wise, he's starter and reliever eligible. And if you have a league that has X amount of starter spots and no actual just P pitcher spots, you can throw him right in there when you're not starting X amount of guys and hope that he gets in and that he can get a save. But with the uncertainty of A, Miami even getting a lead, and B, holding it long enough to get one of these guys in, C, which one of them will get in, that's what you got to keep in mind here. But I do feel like they're at least using all three of these guys. So that's the nice part about it. There's a lot to go around, and they're just sending them out there. So if you're in a saves holds league, these guys are great for that too, because they may come in the seventh and get you that hold, even though you thought you were banking on the save. So it's a cluster though.
Yeah,
so
not one I'm going after.
The next group we got here is St. Louis. I mean, really, what's that?
Oh, I just said no. It's not. It's not a.
Yeah.
It's not a team that I'm going after for sure.
Yellow. Oh yeah. No, I mean they're pretty much set with Jordan Hicks right now. Andrew Miller has not really looked Andrew Miller-esque, so maybe he's falling into the same April woes that we talked about with these starters. But I don't know what the deal is with him. I think he'll be fine eventually. But I'll tell you, the guy that I like here is John Gant. Again, he's got that starter reliever eligibility. So that's money for that type of league, and I own him in the same league that I own Romo, and I love doing that, that playing that game. But Gant got another hold tonight. Hicks, like I said, he seems to be the go-to for the saves. So if you're trying to play in a league that only has the saves for the closers, then go after Hicks. But I don't know. This situation is kind of murky regardless. The last one I have here is Milwaukee. Really, the only reason I've listed them, I mean, they lost Corey Knebel. He's done for the season, so pretty much everything is turned over to Josh Hader right now. But you also have Jeremy Jeffress, who just came off the IL today. He did get in. They were losing, but he got a couple innings. A couple thirds of an inning, pitched 2/3 of an inning, had a K. So they're going to work him in slowly, but definitely keep an eye on him. I feel like sooner than later he's going to be in more higher leverage situations, and he could end up stealing some saves from Hader down the line. And actually, I said the last one, but I did want to mention Tampa Bay as well. Diego Castillo ended up getting the save, I believe, last night in lieu of Alvarado. And, I mean, Alvarado's their guy. That's been what it is. He did come in and pitch in the 8th, though, so not really sure what was going on with that. But Tampa Bay and their pitching schemes are so off the wall as it is anyways, with having a guy start as a opener, that you never really know what they're going to do. But both of those guys have been great to start the season. Definitely keep an eye on both of them and start them. I mean, you're gonna get points from them week in and week out.
Yeah, 100%, man. So I just want to follow up a little bit about the Milwaukee thing. So I think obviously this is Hader's job unless they do go out and sign the Kimbrel thing, which I know has been kind of rumored. And I hear that Kimbrel is like close to signing a guy or whatever. Who knows what the hell that means? But Jeffries is only going to get the chance if like they need Hader to pitch like the 7th and the 8th because they're just in a tight spot, and it's the 1 through 6 batters that he's just going to go strike out, right? And then they're going to bring in Jeffries for the 9th and close out the game. Like that's where I feel like Jeffries will get his play more often, or because they do use Hader a lot for 2 inning saves, and so they're going to have to rest him a lot. And that's something that you really have to keep in mind with Hader is that, yeah, he's phenomenal. He's going to get a ton of strikeouts. But he pitches multiple innings a lot. So there's going to be a lot of chances where you're going to get vulture saves. And excuse me. That matters a lot. And with Tampa Bay, like, it's kind of the Hader scenario where they're going to use Alvarado kind of wherever. So this is his job, but, Diego Castillo is definitely the guy. Is definitely the secondary guy is what I meant to say, but he's good in his own right. And if you are in a holds league, he has been phenomenal because I snatched him up after the first week and was like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, man, moving on to some waiver ads here. I'm kind of cherry picking a bit from Dennis's article, but the very first guy who I 100% agree with is Freddie Galvis. I mean, this guy's been pretty amazing to start the year. He's hitting a bunch of bombs, and he's batting, almost 350. He's got 4 homers, 9 RBI. Look, he's not going to keep this up all year. We all know that. We know who Freddie Galvis is, but, if, you're dealing with the Trey Turner injury or something like that, you need some middle infield help, Freddie Galvis is the guy that's probably out there in a lot of leagues because everybody just goes, ugh, it's Freddie Galvis. And I don't blame you. But, he's a guy that you can definitely look at. Turning over to Kansas City, who, look, the offense is atrocious. But even in bad offenses, you do get your good eggs every now and then. And this year, it seems to be Hunter Dozier, who is just on fire recently. He's had a bunch of bombs the last few weeks, or the past few games. And he's somebody who, he was at one point a top prospect. So that's nothing to forget. And I think he's now up to 3 or 4 home runs on the year. I don't have his stats right in front of me, but I feel like he's up to 4 home runs on the year. He's batting almost 300. Look, the counting stats really aren't going to be there because the team isn't very good. So runs and RBIs you're going to struggle with. But if you're doing, especially if you've got, he's got first base eligibility in some league somewhere. Because I'm looking at Fantasy Pros right now, and he has first base eligibility somewhere. So if you're in a league where he's got first base eligibility, and you're kind of struggling with your first baseman, Joey Votto, go ahead, man, slide him in. Why not? And I'm not gonna say drop Joey Votto, but while he's hot, drop some other schmuck and throw Dozier in there until Votto he's back up and actually does something. Yeah,
Dozier's got 5 homers, 10 RBIs, 9 runs.
Did he get one today?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's not on the. I'm on Fantasy Pros. That's why I don't see it.
I believe he hit one today. 298 average, 985 OPS.
Yeah, man,
and all in 57 at bats.
Yeah, he's been so good, and his teammate now too, Alex Gordon. Blast from the past, man. Like, this guy's been garbage for so many years now, and I think overall he still is. But a hot start to the year is a hot start to the year. Like, even if it is just 1 month of of great baseball, especially if you're in a roto league where you're just trying to accumulate as many stats for the entire season, go ahead and snatch him up. Ride him while he's hot, and then drop him as soon as he sucks again. And that's sort of the game you can play with the back end of your team if you don't have just studs across the board, which almost nobody does, right? So, if you're struggling in the outfield, Alex Gordon is playing well. He's hitting, 350 almost. I don't know what his stats were today and how they come into, because again, I'm on Fantasy Pros for some reason, looking up all the stats. I don't know why I'm on this site, but it's just where I started pulling up the research. But again, he's got 13 RBI on the year at least, and it's good, man. 3 weeks into the year, that's pretty good. So again, the Kansas City Royals aren't totally trash.
Yeah, Dozier hit it wasn't a walk-off, but he hit a homer in the top of the 10th to take the lead 4-3. And then Gordon did have 2 more RBIs today as well, so he's up to 15 now. So, yeah, I mean, both of these guys, ride them while you can, and then trash them.
Yeah, man. And then speaking of trash offenses, not quite as bad as Kansas City, I think, is the Orioles, and they've got a guy batting near the top of the lineup every single day, and that is Dwight Smith Jr. And this guy was a Blue Jay prospect for years. Not a top prospect, but I guess okay. And he's coming in this year, starting off pretty hot, 3 bombs on the year, batting 284, 13 runs, 10 RBI, 3 stolen bases, so the guy can run. I mean, he's well on his way to like a 15-15 season at this pace. So look, this he could easily be a solid piece for you all year at this rate. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially when you consider the speed that he's giving you. Like Alex Gordon's not going to give you the speed, right? Neither is Dozier. So if Dwight Smith can hit 10, 12 bombs and then steal you 15 bases, you're going to take that. That's pretty solid. It's just a shame because obviously the Orioles really aren't much to worry about. Although I'll say they're playing a lot better than I thought they would before the season started. I think the analytics, and they're not just trying to home run you to death where they go 0 runs or 1 run like every other game. They're just playing baseball, and they're hitting the ball and getting on base, and surprise, that actually works, right? Like, I've been asking for it for years, and it's finally here. And we just don't have the overall talent to sustain it and make it into a super competitive team, and especially the pitching is just disastrous. But Dwight Smith is somebody who I'm kind of starting to root for. He's a guy that I look at and like, hey, all right, this guy's pretty good when he comes up. So next guy here, moving on to some pitching. I put Mike Soroka down, and he is going to be called up, it sounds like, and start Thursday against the Diamondbacks. This is a guy I love. Like, I owned him last year in every league at some point, and then, of course, he had the injury and got shut down, so I had to drop him. And I think this guy could easily stick in the rotation, although Atlanta has the most confusing rotation and what I mean by confusing is they've just got so many guys that can stay in the rotation. You never quite know who's going to be in it all year long. So there's the risk you take with a guy like that. They just said that Tuki Toussaint is going to keep a spot. Like they sent down Sean Newcomb, but now they're going to call up Soroka. So it's like, okay, are you going with a 6-man rotation? What's going on here? It's just a lot. So I don't know if Soroka's getting sent down right away, but he's at least a streaming arm at this point. Arizona's offense is pretty solid. So it's not the greatest start, but I still think he's got the talent, and he's 100% worth a streaming option at this point, and just in hopes that he sticks in the rotation for at least a month, right? Like that's worth it at that point. I'm gonna skip my next guy and finish with him, but then I'm gonna go to Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith has been, you talked about how the Marlins were a team, they're a pushover, right? Offense, they stink. They're terrible. They're up there with Kansas City as far as when you see your pitcher going against Kansas City or the Marlins, you're going, yes, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to have an amazing game. And it's true. Like, it happens almost every night. The pitching staff for Miami, though, isn't bad. Like, I talked about dropping Pablo Lopez. He hasn't had an amazing start to the year, but he's been good, right? He's been solid. He has shown signs of really good pitching. And he's just, I felt like had a little bit of bad breaks here and there. He's had like one bad game, one mediocre game. Last game he only went 5, but he only allowed 2 runs. So it wasn't bad, right? Like, the signs are there where Pablo Lopez, like, and he's got the stuff. Caleb Smith, though, he was somebody that coming into the year I really liked because of his strikeout upside. And I felt like if he could limit the walks a little bit, limit the home runs a little bit, that he was going to make a leap to not elite, but like keepable player. Caleb Smith was a guy where you were just streaming him on good matchups because he has high strikeout upside last year. But now, he has started out and he's got an under 3 ERA. Look, that's probably not going to stay. It's probably going to go to the mid threes at worst, I think. But his strikeout rate is over 11. It's amazing. He has limited the home runs to about 1 per 9 at this point, so it's a tick down from last year. The walks are down from last year. And so everything's trending in the right direction for him, which is what I was hoping. Kind of sucks for me because I ended up trading him in that dynasty league. But I mean, I got Eloy him in his back, so I'm not truly sad. But it's one of those. I think Caleb Smith is a guy that you're going to be able to keep and hold on to. He's not going to like win you the ratio war for the year, but he is going to make a difference in strikeouts every week for you, and that matters big time. I mean, his strikeouts per game this year. 6 in 6 innings, 7 in 6 innings, and then 8 in 5 innings to start the year. He's just been amazing to start the year for strikeouts. The last guy here, and I kind of laugh because everybody hears the name, they go, oh, whatever. Mike Minor. Like, by the way, Mike Minor had a good year last year. A lot of people don't really quite realize that. Because they look at his overall and he had a 4.18 ERA, and you're going, bleh. His splits, though, were crazy good for last year. I think he had like a below 3 ERA in the second half, if not even better than that. I'm trying to pull it up real quick while I'm kind of trying to BS here. But his ERA in the where does it go? I don't even know in this damn site sometimes.
Well, while you're looking for it, I will say that I grabbed Mike Minor in the Fantasy Six Pack League.
Oh, did you really?
Grabbed Mike Minor in my ESPN league and started both of them, started him in both of them yesterday.
Fantastic.
And I was
shutout.
I was so damn close to grabbing him in my Yahoo Weekly League for next week because he's a 2-starter. And I don't remember. I think it was between like me waiting to see what Carrasco was going to do tonight, which thankfully I did not drop him for Mike Minor.
Oh my God. Why would you even consider that?
Well, I wasn't legitimately considering it, but I was looking at my team like, damn, who do I have that I can potentially drop at some point? But I'm saddled with all these freaking day-to-day injuries. Justin Turner, we forgot to mention, he's still dealing with a couple of different bang-up items. I think an ankle and a toe maybe. Gene Segura, we forgot to mention earlier, he's dealing with hamstring. He's going to sit the next 3 to 4 days. So Scott Kingery is an immediate add there.
Oh yeah. So I found the stat that I'm looking for, by the way.
Okay, well, go for it.
So the stat that I was looking for was Mike Minor's first and second half splits last year. So his first half was a 4.89 ERA. His second half was a 2.97. I mean, crazy good, right?
Wow. That's pretty damn solid.
Right. So now he's going into this year, and his first game was pretty rough, but since then he's been awesome. He's got his ERA down to 2.6. Obviously, the complete game shutout last night, which shocked the hell out of me. I saw him go 7, and I was like, all right, he'll get pulled. Nope. They let him go. I've actually also seen rumors already that the Phillies and I think it was the Brewers are interested in him. already. Like it's already started with him. They're just like,
Wow.
please get rid. Oh, it's the Mets and the Phillies are both showing strong interest in Rangers starter Mike Minor. I mean, the Phillies are struggling, and they did just send down.
Eflin.
Was it Eflin? No,
I
it
thought
was
Eflin.
oh God, starts with a P.
Oh, Pavetta?
They sent down Pavetta
Fuck.
today. He's
Sorry.
been awful.
Family.
That's okay. He has been awful to start the year. I think his ERA is over 10.
Yeah,
So
he
it's
has been
bad.
horrible.
Like, and he was like a huge sleeper for people, and for good reason. Like he was good last year and showed a lot of promise, and all the signs were there for him to like to like just beast out this year, and he was just climbing up draft boards. And I kind of didn't jump on the hook up. I didn't climb up the ladder with him. So thankfully, in that case, because he's just been bad, and but the Phillies look like a team that they kind of need it because their starting pitching has taken a hit. Nola's not playing well. Eflin's been okay. They sent down Pavetta. Arrieta's been a lot better than I think a lot of people think. So you guys are kind of lucking out there.
He had a really good game
Yeah,
today.
he did.
He got saddled with the 2 earned runs because he let the guys on base, and then once again the bullpen couldn't close the door. They finally did, but they made it interesting between Adam Morgan and Neris.
Yeah, but you
mentioned earlier,
kind of
so.
wonder though, like, they got Velasquez. He's okay. Like again, the Phillies seem like a team where I guess fine, go get a Mike Minor, but you're gonna need to trade somebody, especially if you go after him at like peak value right now. Like that just seems idiotic. Why not go just? There's been rumors that the Houston. I'm exhausted. I can't think of names at all. The old Houston pitcher is
Eichel.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what's wrong with me
I
today.
was like,
It's been a
all
long
right,
ass day, dude.
that's
Dealing with my kid and driving around all day. Anyway, Keuchel. There's been rumors that Keuchel is like willing to accept a 1-year deal. It's probably going to be for a lot of money, but like
Interesting.
he's now finally starting to be like, look, I will accept a 1-year deal, and it's going to be probably 18, 19 million. But dude, the Phillies, just pay it, man. Just pay it. Go get a starting
You got
pitcher.
stupid money. Come
you,
on.
you need it. Like you went all in on Harper and Real Muto and those guys. Like, go finish this off if you want to do this for real. And Keuchel can make a difference. Minor's okay, but is he really that much of an upgrade over the rest of these guys? He's probably your number 3 behind Nola and Arrieta, I guess, at this point. So it's probably an upgrade,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth giving up like even like a mediocre prospect at this point. For
Well,
somebody
if they
like him.
get Keuchel in, yeah, I mean he's gonna need a month to get going at least. So you're
well,
they've
they've been saying he's been like pitching a lot he's gonna have to go face like live batters, but he's been pitching a lot and like throwing at like 95, which kind of surprises me. I feel like his velocity has never been that high regularly, so I don't know where those are coming from. That sounds like sales, like a sales pitch to me, but whatever. Anyway, so Mike Minor is definitely worth an ad though. Like he is grossly under-owned in a lot of leagues, and if I didn't have a pretty good pitching staff in our league, I'd probably be snatching him up. But, well, I guess you already did, so it doesn't matter. But I actually looked at him because I just was like, he's solid, but I didn't know who to drop. And so be it. Anyway, man, that's all I got. You want to finish up with anything?
No, man. I mean, I'm pretty much done. Just want to state that we will be switching
Yes.
to recording on Thursday nights. starting
Absolutely.
next week, I believe.
Yes.
So keep an eye out on Fridays for the show. We're going to see how that goes over summer and possibly switch back come fall.
Come football
But
season.
yeah, for now or baseball, we're gonna just gear up and focus on the weekends.
All right. Yep. Thanks. I always forget about that stuff. So, yep. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. Good day whenever you're listening, and we will see you all next week. Peace.